are
very well.
you?
I'm doing so great.
First of all, you didn't come
Oh,
to play.
listen,
You
now
look
listen. Let me be clear.
amazing.
I'm in Dallas right now, and you know, I'm part of this for you, but I'm actually going to see some of my cousins tonight here in Dallas as well. And so, my first cousins, I haven't seen them in a while, so we're going to meet for dinner. And so, you
Nice.
know, you are my first up for the night, and then I get to hang out with my girls. So, thank
Well,
you.
I'm honored. I'm honored you came to use slave. You just slave. You just had to
Because otherwise, I
put
would have
that
had a
down on there
cap
for
on.
you.
Okay.
But we have. I love it. See, listen, you could on this show, you could come dressed up or dressed down. It's up to you as long as the people
Yes,
are getting
absolutely,
the
absolutely.
message. That's it. You know what I'm saying? But I had to have you on. I had an opportunity to I get to choose. My team allows me the opportunity to choose who I want to have on my show.
Awesome.
This is now season 4. And I'm like, I gotta have Crystal Aikin. I have to have Crystal Aikin. And it's so ironic that we brought you on the show, and prior to you coming on, you were on Terrell's show. So at first I was hating. I'm like, all right, okay. So she could have sang a little something over here first. You know what I mean? But it's
We
all
love
love. Shout out to
Terrell.
Terrell. We love you over here. But that I had to sit back and I had to pause, because there were times on the show where I was like, she didn't do this to me. She didn't come out on it with a praise and a worship. She didn't do this. She didn't do this. It reminded me
Oh,
why I fell in love
thank
with
you.
you in the first place. Your spirit. Your spirit. So I know so many people know you from Sunday's
Okay.
Best, but I want to kind of go back. I love to be able to bring people up to speed. So can you let us know where you were born, where you from, and how did you get into your gift? I love to call it that. Your calling, your purpose. How did you learn how to sing? Was that your original gift?
That's
And
so good. So,
let's tap
you
in.
know, people may know I am from the Northwest. I am from Tacoma, Washington. It's 30 minutes south of Seattle. And I am a Kojic baby, raised in church all my life, right? And
Come
so, you know,
on
I think
now.
some of us Kojic
Come
babies, you
on.
know, and not to shade, no shade to any other organization, but, you know, we just pump out singers. You know what I mean? We do. And so
Yes.
I was
Yes.
raised singing in the Sunshine Band, the youth choir, all that good stuff. And so raised by 2 parents. I'm the oldest of 2. I have a younger brother, and so my family's now in Houston. But yeah, I'm a Northwest kid. And, you know, I would say that singing has been a part of my life. You know, as a little girl, like my parents said that I would stand in front of our fireplace. I would have my like imaginary microphone. I'd be directing the choir.
Yeah.
And so the Sunshine Band, you know, teacher, I asked her, I said, how did you know I could sing? What was it? Because my parents, I didn't get the luxury of it, you know, like a Kara Sheard and Karen Clockwork. No. Mom wasn't
Yes.
singing at home. I wasn't trying to duplicate a vocalist in my house. No. And so it had to be God given. I didn't get a chance to meet my
Yeah.
dad's parents, but they said that she could actually sing. My grandmother could sing. And so I'm not really for sure. I can only say that it is definitely God given, and definitely God authorized, definitely God qualified. And so, and I truly believe that, you know,
Yeah.
like when you give it to him, if you manage your gift with excellence and you manage it, he will just develop it, and he will put it before people, and kings and queens, as they say, right? And the doors will open up. And so I sang in groups. I sang around our city, and then started doing a little bit of solo, but really I did groups most of the time while I was home. And so that's kind of how people know me in the area. I sang with a group called Soul. We kind of had a little bit of a national platform, and then but
Yeah.
mostly I sang locally with the group called Heaven Sent Us. And we had an amazing time. That
Yes.
actually originated from high school. And so I didn't even do choir in high school, yo. I did
I think you are getting a phone call, right? Just hang up.
Okay, that was
I
my
hear you.
finger on. See this?
I hear you.
See, we about to find out how old I am in a minute. It's about to judge me. I'm about to be judged in just a minute by the saint. So that's how people got to know me. You know, that's how I started my upbringing when it comes to singing. And I don't even know how I could hear. I played a
Yeah.
little piano, but that was just classical, you know, with our teachers. And I regret for anybody who's parent or they are a parent raising their child to teach them how to play an instrument. Listen, force them. Force them. I know they may say, no, I don't want to do it. Or if you're the one who's being forced, let me tell you, when you get to become my age and you are already musical, you will look back and maybe regret having not stuck with that instrument. Because if I could have played now, I would love to have known, you know, I'm sure the training of reading music would have evolved into, you know, hearing and just regular, church playing. And so that's a huge regret. Father, forgive me for I thought I knew what I was supposed to do. Father, forgive me, but yeah. So that's how people got to know me back home.
I think sometimes we're just stubborn, right? Like, come on now, come on, Lord. I didn't ask for that. That's not what it said in my calling. I didn't see that in the dream. It wasn't there. And then we get older and we realize that a part of the gift comes with all of the other responsibilities. So it's not just singing, but it's music in its entirety. And now we're stuck. We gotta pay Paul and Peter and them.
We do. And listen, we need to let our parents do their job, right? They were training me up in the way that I should go, and I was forsaken. And I was no, I don't want to do it. And so listen to your parents, honor them, for your days will be long. But yeah, so that's probably one thing that I'll say I truly regret. But things started back in you know, the Great Old Church of God in Christ. Altar Memorial was where I grew up, and you know, went to convocation, sang with the choir in convocation. And I truly believe that, you know, church is just a great place to start singing. It's a great place. You learn a lot. You know, develop your craft. But I thank God for the church for allowing us as young people to sing, for us as young people to get a platform.
Yeah. And it also, I want to say also, like, for me, it taught me a lot about remaining grounded, right? And reminding myself of who I am singing this for, what I am doing this for. So anytime I slipped up, I felt that, like, okay, God, you're right. This don't feel right outside of this. Outside of you, I don't feel comfortable. You know what I mean? But then that brings me to kind of moving forward. You go to school, you become a registered nurse, you start practicing, you know, in that field. Do you stop and go into the field, or do you maintain
so
your artistry?
My dad, God rest his soul, that's my dude. I'm the daddy's girl. And so, you know, when I was in college, I got my bachelor's degree. And I was just singing and singing and singing and singing. And my dad said, hey, Crystal, you know, I just believe if you put your natural career first, I just believe your singing is going to take off, right? And he said this to me a month before he passed away. And unbeknownst to him, I had applied to nursing school already. He didn't even know. And so here I am a month later, and we're burying him. I go to the dean of the college that I had applied, and I spoke with her. Matter of fact, I applied 2 years in a row. The first year I showed up, I was like, so if I got there late, I said, if I don't find a parking place, it's not meant for me to go to school this year. So I didn't go. Then my dad passed the next year. Yes, I went to the dean and I said, hey, I really believe that it's time for me to go. So I went to nursing school. And when I did that, it's not that I stopped singing altogether, but I stopped kind of doing as much. I focused in on nursing. I kind of did what my dad told me to do, unbeknownst that I was like, well, I'm doing what he says. No, it's just that school took over. It took priority. And then I started working in the ER. And we may have sang the group here and there, but I knew that nursing and healthcare was my priority at that time. And I'm telling you, and then I sprinkled in singing here and there, a competition here and there. I'm definitely
Yeah.
singing for my church. I was directing a youth choir, or you know, actually I wasn't doing that by that time. No, I was done. I was doing that. So I was serving at a church. And when I mean serving, I mean just a member and
Yeah.
participating in church like that. And so, but yeah, and then Sunday Best came about, and the rest is kind of history. I do remember walking the
Yeah.
halls of the ER at St. Joseph's in Tacoma, and I remember exhausted, and I said, God, is this it? You know, I challenged him in that moment, because I said, I know you show me something different, but if this is it, I just need to know so I can get my strength back for it, so that I can get my joy in doing it. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Because if we're
Yes.
purposed to do something, God is really going to give us the strength. He's going to equip us. He's going to, there's joy when you are in the right assignment. You know what I mean? Even, yes, even
Right
when
space.
there's
Yes.
trials and there's, you know, somebody tries to throw you off, when you know you are equipped for this place, this assignment, this space, you are just fueled differently. You are excited differently. And
Yes.
you know that until you accomplish it, until it's done, you know that you're going to be able to go through it. And so I just knew at that point,
Right.
I said, okay,
Right.
God, what's next? You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, sometimes I think we all do that, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
this is something that is safe.
Yep.
It's something that we know that we could do, and we're in that thing, and then the
Correct.
gift falls to the wayside. The calling and the purpose falls to the wayside, because in reality, for us, it's uncomfortable. It can be very uncomfortable. So let's talk about going into Sunday's Best, because around this time, you would say American Idol had already started. That was like the main platform kind of coming out that we knew about. Now, Sunday's Best, I remember seeing it, you know, plastered around here and there. Now, from a Kojic woman, now we already know how things just kind of needs to remain in the building, in the temple of the, you know. How was it going for auditions, wanting to go? Did you get backlash? How was the process for you? And when did you decide that?
So there wasn't any backlash. I'll say this. I think I was actually telling the story to some friends yesterday. When Sunday Best was presented to me by my best friend, I just knew I wasn't going to do it. I was over the word competition and over, you know, and so it really took a stranger. My god brother hit me up and he said, hey, I want you to take this call, because most people who know me, I'm horrible with the phone. I don't like to call people. I just am horrible. I've been that way, and I am emotional when it comes to the phone. If you say let's meet, I'm there. I am more of a contact person. So he told me to take this call. She was a stranger, and I took her call, and she said, hey, I just believe you're supposed to be in LA. And she said, you know, I know one of the producers, but she's trying to get people that she knows to get people involved. First season. So, you know, trying to spread the word out beyond the airing or there was advertisement on BET. Beyond that, they're trying to get people to, hey, you know some singers, get them on the show. And so, but it was in that moment that I finally said, just like God pricked my heart. And so I called my mom and said, hey, Mom, I think I'm supposed to be in LA. And so working in the hospital, I got off shift at about 5 o'clock, took a flight and got to LA. And she stood in line. Her name is Arlene. She stood in line on my behalf until I got there. And so she sent me a picture and I was able to look at her like, oh, okay, what she look like? Okay, yeah. And she was standing there in line on my behalf. And so I didn't get any real backlash. I'll tell you this, for me in my mind, though, I was like, okay, I'm sure. Well, no.
The same thing.
What I knew, because I know me and I know how my mom and dad raised me. So there was nothing about me going and trying to shame them or anything. It's just, you know, in my mind, it seems cavalier to say it a little bit. It's just TV. It's just singing. It's no different. You know, I enjoy singing about Jesus Christ. I'm just doing it on this stage. I'm not changing anything. I'm not stripping. I'm not, you know. And so it was just another opportunity. My mom was right behind me. She was fully supportive. The biggest thing in my mind, though, I'm sure some of the other contestants probably feel that, is when you've been singing in an area for a long time, you kind of take on your people. You're like, I hope I don't embarrass them. Oh my God, I don't. I hope I don't. I hit my notes. I hope. Oh my gosh, I was so stressed out because there were amazing singers on this show. I mean, you know, I'm not saying I was the best. I don't even say that. When I look at Sunday Best, I always tell people, we all wake up every day, and sometimes your voice is right, sometimes your voice isn't right. Sometimes you're hoarse, sometimes you're not feeling well. And so
That's
it
right.
really was based upon the day. I mean, we can overlook it and say, well, God had a plan. Yes, he did. He knew all. But when you see a basketball game, both teams are in that gym or in the back, and they're like praying, right? Everybody's praying to win.
Come on.
And so, but God knows the end result. And so for me, I didn't get backlash. I feel like he gave me an opportunity to have fun and to enjoy meeting some amazing people. And that's exactly how I went in, to meet some great contestants and to just have a good time. And I mean, it was very nerve-wracking to hear Kirk Franklin walk on the platform, and then to see Mary and Abibi sitting across there looking at you, calling your name. I'm like, Lord, I don't even know what's happening right now, but let's go. Let's have a good time.
Yeah. And then you win.
Yeah.
You win. You know what I mean? So I can only imagine. Let's go back to this moment, if you can share with us, when they call your name. Because I always, first of all, I imagine myself in the footsteps. Like, I'm jumping with you because I feel it. You can feel the thing happening in that moment. So let's go back to when you won. Where did you go? Because I would have been out here. I would Lord, take me to the king.
And first of all, I'm holding Sherry Addison's hand, and she is such an awesome minstrel. She's just psalmist. She's an awesome woman of God. And so she sang, she's amazing too. And so we're standing, it was, Kirk said something like, he was doing, how he's always funny. And so he's like, all I know is that I'm going to prophesy today. He's like, a woman is going to win. I was like, oh God. I'm like, I got the anticipation here. But while I'm standing there, I am tired. Sherry and I, and the work that we had to do to get there, the rehearsals, for anybody that's been a part of this show, we're rehearsing like crazy, the hours, the hurry up and wait, all of that kind of starts exhausting you after a while. And so for me, I was like, hey, Kirk, no offense, just say a name. And, you're kind of just like, you're tired, after a while, your mind is like, okay, we're at the end. Let's, make it happen. So when he said my name, though, I was like, I hate that it's there for life. The ugliness of my cry, the pain, but the joy all at the same time that was coming out. I was so elated that part of the journey kind of come to an end, but I was so excited, like, me? Oh my God, so I just, it was such a surreal moment. The Kirk Franklin calling your name. How amazing is that? And so I say this all the time, that I am here because people voted, people watched. People were really attuned to that show. They were tuned in, young people, older people. It was the show that people went to their nightly service, and then they knew they were coming home to watch Sunday Best. And I believe that for us contestants, we did the best that we could to make sure that God was represented well. That people, you want to say the word entertain, but that people did get some entertainment out of it. But I know that just in talking to all of us, that our hearts were to make sure that we did what we do on Sunday morning, or we do what we did at church, So there was nothing new about what that was. We just got an opportunity to see who we really were. So that's what happened. So from that point, it just catapulted me to living out of a suitcase after a while. I got done. When I won, I actually went back to the hospital, went back to just go work, go nurse. And so where there was a patient, I said this before, but there was a patient that came in, and she was like, chest pain. So, you got chest pain. We're immediately putting leads. We're trying to get an EKG. We're trying to, man, what is your pain level? And she's like, are you? I said, ma'am. Ma'am, we gotta, like, ma'am, please, can we get to you? And so, but I went back just being normal, going back to work, and I still love being a nurse. I still am a nurse. And so that was a call in and of itself. So music is one call, but taking care of patients was another call. And so I think they can easily be merged together because they all have the same foundation. It's caring for people. It's wanting to see their transformation. It's wanting to see them healthy, right? Spiritually healthy, naturally healthy. And so it really wasn't a transition to go from the hospital floors to actually singing on the platform and doing what I do. So.
Yeah. And I think, sometimes and I've known some people in that audition, and for me, I always ask. So you get to this place where now you're traveling, you're in the studio, you're doing all of these things, but then time passes and people don't hear from you, or that thing, right? Because then it goes into, oh, she done fell off, or they done let her go, or all of these myths and rumors that circulate. So you're on season 1, you win, you do your thing, you got an album come out, your song comes out, and then people stop hearing, right? It's not in the media. It's not in the media anymore. So then what happens? Like, how does that process work? Where does one go? Are you still signed? How does that work? Iana Frawley had a different story. So I would love to know. I would love to know how it worked out for you.
The last 5 of us, I think we all signed a contract, not knowing who was going to win. And so whoever was the last person standing, our reward was to be signed to a label. And at that time, it was Verity Records. And so I actually was signed to them. We put out 2 albums. And so I know people, at that time, it was MySpace, right? Over time, it evolved, Instagram, Facebook, all of this stuff. And so I have always kind of been, I'm not necessarily private for the sake of not wanting people to know anything about me, but social media, it has taken a minute for me to really appreciate what it's supposed to be. I thought it was an extrovert until social media it's kind of forcing you to express yourself and show yourself. And so I've kind of been private, but even though it appears like I'm obscure and that I haven't been doing anything, I've been working all of this time and not in the hospital, right? So I've still been singing. We've put out 2 albums, and I've still been traveling. I've worked at churches as well, and been worship pastors and worship directors as well. And so I've been moving along, and so it's always still a joy to run into people when I'm going places to minister or to be the artist, Crystal Aikin, either one, because they are a little different. Is that people are still connected, and they were like, oh my God, I remember. But now that people are seeing me more on social media, it's like, where has she been? I'm like, I know, girl, I've been here. I'm like, where has she been? Okay, she's showing back up. I'm like, bro, I am right here. I'm still here.
And I asked that. I asked that because I wanted that. I wanted people to hear this. A lot of times people think that social media is real life.
Can you say a word?
It's not.
It is not. Listen, social media can become catfish, right? It can become fabricated, and you can put anything on here. Listen, I'm sure any man who's gotten a filtered picture from a woman, he's going to be like, wait. What you mean you don't got on your teeth? What you mean that's not your hair? No. you can become who you want to on social media, but my real life is this. I've still been singing, I've still been ministering, but there was a moment along the journey that I got discouraged. It stopped being fun. And for someone who this is what God has created you to do, there's a moment you might hit the wall of discouragement, hit the wall of it's not fun anymore, hit the wall where the balloon is just it's been popped, and whatever you think you expected it to be, the reality of what it is actually taints that expectation, right? And so
can we go a little bit deeper in this? Because I think a lot of times people think that the industry is unicorns and butterflies, and a lot of it is showing up and doing it yourself, because you may not have a team of people who are going to do.
That's so good, because the
and I'm gonna leave that part
there
because
And here's the deal. A lot of us church kids who love singing church, we just have not been prepared for what the business partnership is supposed to look like. And so you're right. When you don't have the team to help push you along and to support, or someone didn't get a chance, there needs to be business industry 101 where anybody, regardless of what part of it, whether you're just playing instrument, whether you're singing, whatever you're trying to do, that there is a class to learn what you need to be equipped with. Because when you get in the journey and you don't have proper management and representation, and you don't have an attorney, and you don't have all of these people that love you for you beyond getting their percentage off of you, then it feels very different from why people connect to you, right? And so, and then when you're on a record label, also that was a part for me. I'll say that although I knew it was my reward for the show, I wasn't even ready. I wasn't ready. I was still learning who I was as an artist versus who I was as a church kid singing everybody's music. And so I had to
Come on.
Who I was. That was a building process.
It's
Searching for,
that
yes,
search for
because,
identity.
and here's the deal. I tell people this. I had to learn to appreciate even my voice. It's different than somebody else's voice, and sometimes we're trying to sing like the next person, and that's why I love a Jonathan McReynolds, because he didn't come in trying to sound like the next person. He sounds like himself. Travis Green sounds like himself. You know, as females, you know, a lot of us have high voices and all that stuff, but we all individually are going to sound like ourselves. And although I came off a show that had the word competition in it, I'm not competitive in this arena. This is not the arena for competition. This is arena for appreciation and acceptance. Let everybody be who God has created them to be. And there's no need for me to be jealous of the next, right? And so, but here it is, and that's the thing you're talking about, social media. Isn't it interesting, the comments and how people will fuel a thought? They'll spike a thought. They'll say something, and you don't even know how sometimes that can discourage us. That can discourage people that are reading, because we're sometimes just doing things in hopes to just be appreciated, not to necessarily that you have to agree with everything, but that even how you say that you don't agree can be so mean. And we all believers, and so I had to really pick myself back up. I know that I am in a great season now first of all, I'm in the season of obedience, right? Because I'm in Birmingham. God led. Somebody asked me today, how'd you get to Birmingham from Dallas? I said, girl, listen, I am here. God led, God spoke. That is only, and I obeyed. That's the only reason why I'm in Birmingham, okay? But let me tell you this, for anyone who is watching and listening, can I tell you that obedience really is better than sacrifice? The sacrifice of comfort, the sacrifice of doing it your way, the sacrifice of, people say, I've just been warned with the Lord. I think old school is always like that. God is chasing me down, trying to get me to do my calling. Can you just stop all that and stop trying to run? That's not a cute story. After a while, it's like, yo, we're almost, our age. And we're still saying that. We're still saying that same thing you said 15, 20 years ago. I'm running from the Lord. He's been calling me to pastor, and you're running. He called me to do this, and I'm running. Like, come on. Aren't you tired already? And so for me, I'm in a great place because obedience feels good. I'm going to tell you why it feels good, because you realize you are in assignment, and God really does put everything in place, because this is what he told you to do. But when you're walking in your own and you're doing your own thing, I'm telling you, that is an exhausting place to be, because it's walking in your own strength, trying to find your own resources for what you think you're supposed to do. But when God said, this is the call, even if there's challenges, even if he's testing you, there is still strength and there's still resources provided because you obeyed. Am I right? Right. So I'm so grateful I'm in this place, and I'm finding joy in this place. And it's crazy. The people are showing up. I definitely have an awesome team of people right now in my life that are supporting where I am. And so, so that's kind of, if I said a little bit about that, and if I can speak to this too, and I'm going to stop talking because I know you want to talk, but, this place where you get a little discouraged, let me tell you, you have got to find the right people in that space, because if you do not have the right people saying the right things, encouraging you, and uplifting you. I know the Bible says that we need to encourage our own self in the Lord, but every now and then you need a friend, you need somebody, a pastor, a parent, whoever you're going to utilize, that's going to kind of push you and challenge you and cheerlead you. You got to have both challengers and cheerleaders in your life. And I'm so grateful to those people that have been that for me during the time where I kind of got a little off kilter and I felt like, man, I'm not having fun with this anymore. But I'm finding my voice again. And so I'm encouraging someone that's in that place of discouragement, that's in that place where they're trying to figure it out, where they're trying to find, listen, I'm telling you this, listen to the voice of God. Ask him, what does he want? So that you can find this place of obedience, that you'll find this place of fellowship, you'll find this place of fellowship. And I'm telling you, God will honor that. I was reading the book of 1 Samuel, and it says this, that God honors those when we honor him. And so if you'll honor him first, he will. And when we don't, the guy said the Bible says he lightly esteems us. And so for many of us that want to be esteemed, how about this? If we'll honor him first, God will he pays it back. He gives back when we give to him. So 100,
100-fold. 100-fold. I love what you said about, sometimes being discouraged. And even in those moments,
Yeah.
You just have to go back to your whys, right? What got you in this in the beginning? So even prior to a competition, who
Right.
were you singing for?
Right.
Who were you
Absolutely.
ministering for? You understand what I'm saying? We get lost in all of the
Yeah.
conversations that are happening outside. But sometimes even in that discouragement, we got, when you were saying encouraging yourself, we got to remind ourselves, okay, I'm not doing this for Tom, Bill, Betty, and Ann.
Correct.
I'm doing this to build the kingdom. I'm bringing people to a kingdom. And if I'm not doing such thing, then what am I doing? Right? And you mentioned like giving up. And we're living in a time right now where people want fast gratification. They want it instantly. They think that God is going to do it like this. And now they've changed the word from prayer to manifestation, because they believe they've allowed manifestation to be like a God being a genie who grants requests
Well, can I
instead of
can I
showing up and
pop in
doing the
right there?
work.
If you read in the book of Proverbs, it said
Yeah.
fast and quick success is not even godly. The wicked pursue a fast and easy, a quick fix, a quick money, quick. That's scheming and things and ways. And that doesn't mean you can't be opportunistic. Season moment, I get that. But when you're doing things trying to be great and you're doing it with tactics and schemes that are not godly just so that you can be famous, that's not really God, and God does not honor it. He doesn't blow his wind on that. And so sometimes the process, it may seem like it's taking longer, but God's timing may actually be faster than you think. And so you just need to walk in his timing, and that's staying obedient and staying on your face before the Lord and not looking to the left or to the right at others for the sake of gauging your timing with somebody else's timing. Matter of fact, one of my friends encouraged me today. She was like, Crystal, some things you can't do that we can do. She says, because my assignment and your assignment are so different. And so I'm telling you, so just because you got a friend that's dating a lot of people and you can't date, or maybe because you want to go here and for you can't go, it's okay that God is governing you differently, or you get to go and they don't get to go. It's okay that your life is governed differently, and pay attention to how he wants to govern your life. Pay attention to how he wants to shape and fashion it, because your testimony is going to reach others differently than it'll reach the next. And so be clear as to who God has assigned you to. And I know that we say it's for the kingdom. Yes, it's for the kingdom, but that's the why at the end of the day. Now, I may be for young people, you may be for the men, right? But at the end of the day, it is for kingdom building, and that has to be the ultimate why, meaning that it's selfless and it's all about God. Period.
That's right. Period. Period. So, you, like you were saying, you've been out here, you've been doing these things. And even though it wasn't on social media, you weren't portraying a life. I want to make that clear, y'all. Portraying a life.
Right.
You were out living your life. Do you miss working in a medical field? Do you miss being in that environment? And if you could,
so I do miss it.
Both,
I miss healthcare. I miss my colleagues. I miss that different conversation. But there's some things kind of brewing where I'm actually going to be able to do both, right? And so I'm excited about that, because I think it's important to stretch and to tap into. He gave one 5 times 10. So some of us, he's given multiple, right? And so in that, I think we're supposed to multiply it, to increase, to grow that. And so that's a part of my life I believe I was called to do. And so last year, some people may know, I lost my best friend. And so she was fighting cancer, and she was championing through it. And when the doctors finally gave her days to weeks to live, she made the call, and I hustled there, and I was able to care for her, kind of as a nurse, but best friend as well, in her last days. And it really triggered for me why I love bedside care, why I love taking care of people, especially people that are struggling in their end of life when they're ill and they're in pain. And so I just thank her for giving me that honor to take care of her in her last days. But it definitely reminded me of who God has called me to be: a nurturer, a caretaker, and someone that wants to see the best for others. And so that's what I'm here doing, whether it be singing, preaching, whatever, or healthcare and bedside. And my goal for the kingdom and my why is to really see people become the best them. The best them.
I love that. we've been through 2.5 long, rough years, you know, and a lot of us had to pivot, right? What we want to do, what we thought we
Yeah.
wanted to do this whole entire time, where our lives were, and COVID kind of showed us who we were in Christ, most of us, or who we weren't. So for you, how was that process for yourself? What did you learn about yourself? How were you able to navigate through this life, going through such
So let me tell you
turmoil
something what's so
these last
amazing
2
about
years?
God. So I came to Birmingham, sang at a church, was prophesied to that Birmingham was my home, right? So I get to top of 20. I go to South Africa with my mom. We get back, literally the country shuts down. I am here alone, no kids, no spouse, no family. In Birmingham. And so it was awesome because I was working at a church at the time. And so I was able to, they became my family. They became my friends. They became my everything. And so God just knew. He knew. He knew. I was laughing with, I know it sounds funny, but I was laughing with him the other day going, Lord, you know what? You know my personality, that I can handle being away from my mom, being away from my brother and the kids, his family, and that I would still be strong, that I wasn't going to be depressed, that I wasn't going to be suicidal. Like he just knew me. And so what I gained out of these last 2 years is I've seen a strength that I didn't know I had, right? I've seen an independence that I didn't know that I had. I've seen myself have to become more extroverted. I've actually, in 20, believe it or not, we did a concert in Nashville, that's where the 2 songs came from, which He Can Handle It and Trouble Don't Last. And so I was being pushed and challenged by my friends and by my team. And so I saw the joy of me loving who I am, who God's created me to be rebirthed, if that makes sense, relaunched all over again. And so COVID for me was a time where Crystal got to find herself. Look at yourself in the mirror. God pulled me out of Dallas so that I could get rid of some anger, get rid of some unforgiveness, get rid of some bitterness, and get healthy emotionally so that I can, I tell people now, I said, I don't really know if I want to be around people that are not doing the work of healthy living, emotionally healthy, mentally healthy, spiritually healthy, because some of us are just lazy. We just don't want to do the work to get out of this place of uncomfortability, this place of lacking discipline, this place of unhappiness. And so I'm like, do the work. Please do the work. So God challenged me in this area, and I am so glad. That's what these last 2 years have been for me.
If these 2 years didn't teach anybody about accountability, baby, you may have to do this again because something ain't right. Yes. But let's talk about the 2 singles. Yes. Trouble Don't Last and He Can Handle It, because they made me cry. First of all, I just love a good church song. I really, nothing is wrong with Maverick City. I love all music. I love it. But there is something about a good, like I could just stomp my feet and shout to the Lord and know that He heard my cry and pity every groan. You know what I mean? He Can Handle It is definitely that. And it's a church song. Listen, never having to give a disclaimer, because when you say you love church songs, we get what that means. Gospel music has its roots and it has its value and it has its place, and shall always remain that gospel music is it's priceless, right? So I'm glad I got a song that has a little drive to it, very churchy, very user friendly for church, and hopefully people will sing it on their praise team, sing it in their choir, however they want to do it, sing it at home. Download it if you'd like to. And so it's a great song. Nate Bean wrote that song for me, and he just knew. What I love about these 2 songs right now is that my brother said it best. He says, Chris, this feels like you. It just feels like you're connected to the music. And so that is so awesome to hear. I know people heard I Desire More, and they've seen me sing So Amazing and a couple of other songs, and people can tell when you are connected to your music. And so I'm glad that people are starting to see just even something different on me, a maturity and evolving, a development. And because the worst thing to do is to see you 10 years later, to see and you still, and finish my sentence because you did it. Thank you. Because you're right about it. No. You got, that's right. In the same place. People are questioning you. They're questioning
Is God, what's God doing? Like, because we should never be that. We are ever moving, ever
Yes.
changing, but ever staying the same in our character with the Lord, right? So, yeah.
That's so true. So
Yes.
let's talk about Black Music Honors. So first of all, I've loved, I've even tried to get on there to do some things, and I'm working with some people to do it for next year. But Black Music Honors, to get invited to perform has to be like
Yes.
life changing. I just love, first of all,
Yes.
I love us in a room together,
Yes.
just loving on each other, supporting each other, uplifting each other.
The energy
How
was
was
so
that for
positive in
you?
that room. And then to be able to see people that I was watching on BET years ago, the Whispers and Karen White, and to see Tevin Campbell, and just to see Mary. So to see all of those wonderful, beautiful, talented people be honored, it's going to be spectacular. So get tuned in, because June 25th is going to be airing. But to be a part of it was an honor. Real talk. Like, I'm just like pinching myself, like, how did this even happen? Okay, God, and then to be able to sing with Tasha Page and to sing with, Aja and Rhea. I
Yes.
mean, it was such an awesome night. And to give tribute to Mary, who I know have been true examples for us all as musical artists now, and
Yes.
female, and seeing their strength, and hopefully that we're representing as well, following behind them. And so it was just a great night. And so I'm hoping that people, when they watch the show, that they'll actually get all of that good feeling, that good energy, their pride in being Black, their pride and knowing the journey it took for those that preceded, and all of the hard work that they blazed for us, because it's become a little easier now for some of us to become, right? You got YouTube, you got all these avenues that success, almost like you said, happens for some overnight, right? Where for many of them, it was a lot of toil, it was a lot of hardship, and they became what they are. And so please know, we should always honor those that preceded us, because they have done some work we never, and they've experienced challenges we'll never have to experience, because they did it first. And so and we'll never know. And so thank God for all of them.
When you think back to the little girl in Tacoma and all that she had to endure, if you had to have a conversation with her today, what would you say to her?
Oh, I would say to her, keep smiling. Definitely say, keep smiling, and say, remember the moment you were, I would say to her now, remember when God spoke to you and you were 8 years old in the sandbox at your house. And when you knew that God met you, then he's never left you. And so do not faint. Do not faint in your hope, in your expectation, and even in your excitement for the things that God has coming your way, because you'll be surprised. You got some amazing stuff coming your way, girl. So that's what I would tell her if I could talk to her now. Girl, it's going to get better. It's going to look gooder. It's going to be exciting.
It's going to get better.
It ain't over.
This ride ain't over. It's just getting started. So, I love asking this question, because a lot of us, depending on our situations, the answer is different. So for you, what do you feel like kind of your life motto is now? I know it kind of changes upon our seasons, right? Where we are in our life and the spaces that we're in. But if you could think of all the things that you've accomplished, you've gone through, what would be that now? And how, or what would you say to people who are looking up to you and wanting to do the very thing you're doing right now?
I would say this. My motto is still, would say this over my life. I think this has reigned true. To be faithful over a few, and he'll make you ruler over much. And I think that there is something about stickability in the right places. There's something about being loyal and faithful in the right times, but still hearing God for when it's time to move, and being faithful really to him. And then he'll make you ruler over much. And that rulership does not necessarily mean all of a sudden you're singing to the world. And all of that, ruler over much means he gives you more to be responsible. He gives you more lives to be privileged to hold. And that becomes, maybe now you're the director over a department or something and I'm telling you, all those positions, I told somebody the other day, I said, we have got to be careful when we have influence, When we have influence, you have got to know how to use your influence. So I say this, to be faithful over it, because when he
Yep.
gives you influence for you to be ruler and you to impact men, you always want to make sure that you do it with integrity. So I would say for Crystal's motto, she has been faithful over few, and he has allowed her gift to expand and to grow. And so I hope that for someone as well who's saying, what about me? Like, I don't know. I've been staying at this church for years and years. Like, when is the next for me? I'm like, listen, some things you're going to have to do. Some things you do wait on God, right? That's one thing I think our generation, we did a lot of waiting on God, and then the younger generation, they kind of pushed through because they're like, listen, I'm waiting on God, but I'm also gonna do some work. And so to know when it's your time to move, and he's saying you need to do the work, and then know when God's saying, give it to me, I'm gonna go ahead and carry it further. And so, but my motto would be faithful over you, he makes you ruler.
And trusting that God gave it to you for a reason.
Do something with it.
It's yours. It's yours. When people talk about, your gifts make room for you, you got to get up. You got to get up and get in the room somewhere to make it make room. You got to.
Mary said, go get your blessing. Come on, get up. Go get your blessing.
Come on, go
Please.
Get it.
Yes,
get it. You know what I'm saying? We like you said, a lot of us, even me, like, I'm in the millennial generation, but when I was going through my challenges, I'm like, come on, God, I'm waiting for you. And he was like, no, I'm waiting for you.
Right.
I provided you the gift. What are we doing? You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely been, I love that model. It's definitely been challenging, but I realized that, and this is mine, that I don't have the right to give up. I don't have the right to give up, because somebody needs to see my testimony in order to begin their journey. God is giving me the tools right now to help. We're talking about kingdom building, because that's the goal, but I can't build a kingdom if I don't walk in my purpose and walk in my calling and what God is telling me to do, and being obedient. You know what I mean?
That's such good information. And here's the deal. The Bible does say in 1 Corinthians, it says, listen, the righteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God, right? It gives us a list of unrighteous. Listen, we're all born in iniquity. Like, we're born into sin, shaped in iniquity, right? So we all came imperfect. We came broken. We came lost. We came right. God just says this, but we were washed, we were justified, we were sanctified. And so here's the deal. I love to encourage people, which kind of leads into the song when I sing Even Me, that if you weren't the one that was the fighter, that the arguer, the liar, the thief, the whatever your life is, and you didn't tell somebody how you overcame, how God justified, washed you, and sanctified, how can someone behind you know that it can be done? So please know that it's you. He wants to use your story. He wants to use your journey, your process, in order to encourage someone else that they can make it. We are in a season that mental health is fighting so many people. We're in a season where discouragement is fighting people, and depression, and people are feeling isolated, and there's hopelessness, and people don't have the money and the resources. There's so many different things as obstacles right now. But listen, you've got to find a place to be confident in your story, not to be ashamed of your story. Matter of fact, it's better if you tell it than somebody else. Because when somebody else tells it, it's gossip, but when you tell it, it's news. And so you need to be able to be the one to share your story, so that no one else is having to share in a way that it's gossip at that point. And you don't want anybody to tell a narrative that you can actually tell better. And so you absolutely, because you've been washed, justified, sanctified through the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So listen, get stronger and confident in your story, because you have so many people to reach.
What will your dad represent? We are born and we're going to die. But what does that dad say about who you were?
That's really good.
What you were.
The legacy.
What you left behind. The legacy.
That's so good.
You left that will live on forever.
See what he's telling you? What will your dad? Were you asking me that question? No, I'm just
So what do you have coming up that we can support and be a part of? You got an album?
Well, listen, so we just embarked upon a tour, and so new music is on the horizon. I've been talking to some people on my team on who we're trying to bring in order for me to work with. There's people that I've definitely been inspired, producer-wise, musician-wise, writer-wise, as well. So please be on the lookout, and maybe a Christmas album. I've never done one, but it would definitely be It would be so exciting to
That would
do
be
that.
amazing.
I'll be heading to Nashville soon to do the Ryman. This weekend I'm in Dallas. People can follow me once a month. I'm actually at Concord Church, Baptist Church here in Dallas, with Pastor Carter and the wonderful church. There's such a great family. And so you can watch me there. But beyond that, so I'll be at the Ryman in Nashville on the 22nd, I believe, of June. And then beyond there, we just did the Terrell show. There is something called in October, Kev on Stage. We just did a dramedy with him. And so I got a chance to sing a song on there, but I also did a little acting. When I say little, it's just a little bit. Thank God. I'm a small actress, but I got a chance to sing. I grew up a little bit with Kev on Stage in Washington, and so you'll be looking for that when it comes to October as well. I'll be a part of the Stellars that's coming in July, and so you'll be able to see me there too. And so there's just much more to come. I can't even think of everything. I didn't write it down. I'm so sorry, but be on the lookout, and we definitely will be posting and connecting. I was just talking to my other team as well about doing a YouTube and wanting to let people finally really initiating so that people can see more about my life. I would definitely love to encourage those to let them know that they can make it. And sometimes we can look at people who are the celebrities and they look so hard to attain. But I want you to know that I'm tangible and touchable and I'm reachable. And so I want you to know that I'm one of you. And so as I'm doing it, I want to join with you, partner with you, that we can all grow together, that we can all get better together. And so hopefully people will follow that process through my YouTube in podcast as well in order to share that for your life. So. I love you.
Crystal, I love you. I am so thankful that you took time out of your day before you go and get your little shenanigans on, that you came here and you stopped by one-on-one with Courtney Starks. I really do appreciate you. I really, really do. Everybody, please make sure that you go and get the singles, because trouble don't last
always. Can't handle it, huh?
Can handle it. Come on. Everybody, please make sure you are following the Crystal Aikin just because I said so. I love you for watching, and I thank you so much for always supporting us. This is another episode of One-on-One with Courtney Starks. Have a good one.